This evening, first, Jagdeo urges calm, not chaos, as Venezuela pushes ahead with controversial elections targeting Essequibo. Guyana's vice president is warning the country not to react in a way that legitimizes a fraudulent regime. Could Guyanese who participate face legal trouble? Plus, businessman charged with treason talk. A Georgetown store owner is now before the courts after a Facebook post and in-store signage allegedly supporting Venezuela's claim to Essequibo, why authorities said it crossed the line and what it means for freedom of speech. Also, Vybz Kartel concert sparks religious clash. With the dancehall icon set to hit the stage tomorrow, the Ethnic Relations Commission is calling out one of his songs as blasphemous. Will he respond to calls for an apology before the music starts? Meanwhile, a bold step back, Bata returns. They were the shoes of our childhood. Now Bata is back in style. We'll take you inside their flashy new flagship store and explore how the brand hopes to win over a new generation while honoring the past. And overseas, Venezuelans in limbo. The U.S. Supreme Court has upheld a ruling that ends protected status for Venezuelan migrants. Now hundreds of thousands face an uncertain future in Mexico. Stay tuned, these stories and more tonight on Headline News Update. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for May 23rd, 2025. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, Vice President and General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party, Dr. Jagdeo, has cautioned Guyana against reacting impulsively to Venezuela's escalating rhetoric over the Essequibo region, warning that rash responses could lend legitimacy to what he called a fraudulent regime. Speaking during his weekly press conference at Freedom House on Thursday, Dr. Jagdeo stressed that Guyana must not mirror Venezuela's irrational behavior.
Venezuela will go ahead with it because this is Maduro's way of deflecting from all of his concerns that at home, raised by people at home. And there are many concerns. There's economic decline. There are global sanctions against the country. They rigged the elections massively. He's locking up his opponents in Venezuela. And so he often uses the border issues to deflect attention from those matters.
Jagdeo reaffirmed Guyana's position on the border controversy, stating that Guyana controls the entire 83,000 square miles of the sovereign state of Guyana. He called for national unity and condemned efforts by some political commentators to spread Venezuelan propaganda. Echoing the stance of the Ghana Defense Force, Jagdeo warned that any Venezuelan in Guyana who participate in the May 25th sham elections for the Essequibo region will be deported, and any Guyanese who takes part will face legal consequences.
The Chief of Staff has made it clear, and I wish to endorse his decision, that should there be any attempt by any Venezuelan who's living here to purport to vote in those elections, they will be rounded up and deported immediately, sent out of our country. And if there are Guyanese who engage in that treasonous act, they too will face consequences. We made it clear, because it will be a treasonous act.
The International Court of Justice has already instructed Venezuela to refrain from taking any actions that could alter the current administration of the disputed territory, which remains under Guyanese control. The ICJ has also urged both countries to avoid any actions that could aggravate or escalate the dispute. In other news, as the nation prepares to mark 59 years of independence, the government of Guyana has launched a powerful new initiative to unite the country in patriotism and pride, Flag Days. Running from May 24th to 26th, this national movement calls on Guyanese everywhere to raise the golden arrowhead high in a symbolic celebration of freedom, sovereignty, and unity. Thousands of flags are being distributed across the country, from the capital to remote hinterland, to be proudly flown from homes, schools, businesses, and public buildings. The goal is to paint the nation in the vibrant colors of the golden arrowhead and remind every citizen of the shared history and hope that binds them. The celebration begins with a Flag Day concert on May 24th in Regina, featuring a lineup of local artists and cultural performances. The event promises to ignite a spirit of pride through music, dance, and community, setting the tone for a weekend of national reflection and festivity. On May 25th, in a synchronized display of solidarity, Guyanese are urged to fly their flags on rooftops, vehicles, and even bicycles, with a nationwide salute to the nation's identity echoing from coast to coast. Government officials have emphasized that Flag Day is more than just a celebration, it's a call to unity. As Independence Day dawns on May 26th, the sight of flags fluttering across the country will serve as a vivid reminder of the struggles endured, the freedoms won, and the bright future ahead. United under one banner, Guyanese everywhere are invited to lift their voices, spirits, and flags for the love of country and the promise of tomorrow. On a different note, a Georgetown businessman has been charged with inciting treason over a Facebook post and signage suggesting Essequibo belongs to Venezuela. Dominic Gittins has more on the case and the national response.
A 39-year-old Georgetown businessman, Randy Jagdeo, was on Thursday charged with inciting persons to commit treason after allegedly making a Facebook post claiming Essequibo belongs to Venezuela and displaying controversial signage at his East Bank Demerara store. He appeared before Magistrate Delon Bess at the Diamond Magistrate Court and was granted bail in the sum of $350,000. Jagdeo, who operates the $1,000 store on the East Bank of Demerara, reportedly displayed a One Guyana logo alongside a map that omitted the Essequibo region, a territory internationally recognized as part of Guyana. His online posts and signage has sparked public outrage and concern over national security. The charge falls under Section 314 of the Criminal Law Offences Act. Although the prosecution objected to bail, citing the seriousness of the offense, the magistrate imposed strict conditions. Jagdeo must report monthly to the head of the police cybercrimes unit, abstain from social media activity, and surrender his passport. The matter was adjourned to June 16, 2025. Venezuela plans to hold regional and legislative elections on May 25, 2025, which will controversially include the Essequibo region, an area comprising about two-thirds of Guyana's territory and is rich in natural resources such as oil, gold, and timber. The International Court of Justice has ordered Venezuela to halt its plans to hold elections for the territory, stating that such actions violate an early court mandate. Brigadier Omar Khan, Chief of Defense Staff, has warned that both Guyanese citizens and Venezuelan nationals can face consequences like arrest and/or deportation if they participate in Venezuela's upcoming elections in the Essequibo region. Guyana celebrates its 59th independence on May 26, 2025. Guyana is observing Flag Days from May 24th to 26th to celebrate its 59th independence anniversary. The nationwide initiative encourages citizens to showcase the golden arrowhead, the national flag, as a symbol of unity and national pride. Reporting for Channel 2 Headline News, Dominic Gittins.
Thanks, Dominic. Stick around when we return. Bata makes a nostalgic comeback in Guyana, and with Vybz Kartel scheduled to perform in Guyana tomorrow, ERC calls for apology over offensive song.
GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. Who can register? Anyone who will be 14 years or older by June 30, 2025 and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. How to apply for registration. You must visit the GCOM registration office that is responsible for your area of residence to apply for registration or name change or correction. You must be in possession of the following source documents as might be relevant. Original birth certificate or valid Guyana passport for new registration. Original marriage certificate and original birth certificate in the case of a name change by marriage. Original deed poll and original birth certificate in the case of a name change by deed poll. Original naturalization certificate and original birth certificate or valid passport in the case of naturalization. This registration exercise will end on May 30, 2025. You need to apply for a transfer if you now live at another address since you were registered. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Cotton smalls make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Middle Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. With Jamaica dancehall star Vybz Kartel set to perform in Guyana tomorrow, the Ethnic Relations Commission has issued a form statement addressing concerns over one of his songs, Good Like Jesus, which the Commission says contains content offensive to the Christian community. In a release today, the ERC revealed that it had written to the event organizers, Hits and Jams Entertainment, requesting a meeting on the matter. However, the Commission noted with regret that it has received no response. The ERC also wrote to the Guyana National Broadcasting Authority, urging it to prohibit airing the controversial song on radio and television, citing its divisive and insensitive nature. The Commission is further calling on Vybz Kartel to issue a public apology to the people of Guyana, particularly Christians, for the offensive lyrics. In a related matter, the ERC sought to clarify misinformation regarding local artist Baby Skello, whose real name is Daniel Wharton. Contrary to media reports, the ERC stated it was not involved in his recent arrest. The Commission explained that it had only sent Wharton a letter requesting a meeting about a song he released that has been flagged for offensive content towards the Hindu community. Wharton has not responded or contacted the Commission to date. The ERC expressed deep concern over the rise of religiously and ethnically insensitive content in local and regional entertainment and urged all creators and broadcasters to exercise greater responsibility. The Commission added that it remains committed to promoting harmony and mutual respect in Guyana's diverse society. The statement concluded, reinforcing the need for content that unites rather than divides. In other news, once the go-to footwear for school children across Guyana, the unforgettable yachting boots and bootie, Bata shoes were a staple in nearly every household. Now, years later, the iconic brand has stepped back into the Guyanese market, opening its flagship store at the Giftland Mall on the east coast of Demerara. The return of Bata may spark a wave of nostalgia for generations of Guyanese recall growing up in a durable, dependable shoes. But this relaunch is more than just a trip down memory lane. It's a modern revival. CEO of the franchise, Francis Cumberbatch, said, This is more than just the launch of another shoe store. It's a homecoming, and they're expected to show how the brand has evolved, blending quality, tradition with today's fashion-forward comfort and style. Pankaj Gupta, head of the international franchise at Bata, described the re-entry as a strategic move to reconnect with a market that holds deep emotional ties to the brand. He said the store aims to provide a world-class shopping experience featuring Bata's latest global collections. The Gayfland Mall store offers a variety of styles catering to men, women, children for every occasion. Bata, founded in 1894, is now the world's largest footwear company with over 5,000 stores in 90 countries. With plans to open additional outlets in New Amsterdam, Linden, Bartica, and Lethem, the brand's comeback in Guyana is set to leave new footprints while honoring the old ones. Don't go away after the break. Amazon tribe sues New York Times over internet report linking youth to porn addiction. And Nigeria economy, worker says wages aren't meeting demands.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. If you have moved to a new address since you were registered, you are required to update your address by applying for a transfer to ensure your registration details are accurate. Visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to apply for a transfer. You can apply to have your address updated during this national registration exercise. You can visit the GCOM registration offices Monday to Thursday from 8 to 12 hours and 13 to 16 hours 30, and Friday from 8 to 12 hours and 13 to 15 hours 30. The offices will be closed on weekends and holidays. This registration exercise will end on May 30, 2025. For more information, contact GCOM on 225-0277-9 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. The Marubo tribe of the Amazon has filed a $180 million defamation lawsuit against the New York Times, TMZ, and Yahoo, claiming they misrepresented their community following a report on Starlink internet access. The tribe says the New York Times falsely implied their youth were addicted to porn, sparking global ridicule. The New York Times denied wrongdoings, asserting its article's sensitivity explored the impact of internet access on indigenous life. Hundreds of thousands of Venezuelan migrants are trapped in Mexico after the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the Trump administration's decision to revoke temporary protected status for Venezuelan nationals. Al Jazeera's John Holman reports.
The Omer from Venezuela was hoping by this point he'd have his own house in the United States. Instead, he's building someone else's in Mexico.
I was looking for a better future for myself and my family. I left Venezuela around 11 months ago. I arrived here in Mexico City on July the 28th last year. The plan was to cross into the States, but unfortunately it didn't work out, so here we are.
He's stuck in limbo. So are thousands of other Venezuelan migrants in Mexico. Under President Trump, the US has definitively closed its border to them. And despite the problems in Venezuela, many now want to go home. The only problem The Venezuelan government only runs one repatriation flight from Mexico a month, and the waiting list for it runs, Mexican authorities told us, to 25,000 people. There's more than 200 Venezuelans being accommodated right now in this government-run shelter in Mexico City while they wait for their chance to board a flight home. Adrian's been here for a month, earning what he can, plying his trade as a barber while he waits.
We want to work, but if we go out and the embassy people come, we could lose our chance to get on the flight. I feel bad, in limbo. I don't know what's going to happen, if we'll get to go or not.
Over the years, many Venezuelans have actually decided to stay in Mexico. It might not be the promised land, but it's not their homeland with its problems either. I asked Adrian why he doesn't want to stay.
Mexico's treated me badly. I've been kidnapped, robbed and humiliated at work. They don't pay us properly.
Stories like this are common here. Systematic kidnapping of migrants, exploitation in the workplace. Venezuela's in worse shape. Its economy remains in ruins. Its democracy too. But at least it's home. John Holman, Al Jazeera, Mexico City.
Millions of Nigerian workers are struggling with low wages and demanding work. They're being exacerbated by high inflation combined with a devalued local currency. Al Jazeera's Ahmad Idris reports.
Nasir Bala works in a government office from 8 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. Before and after coming to work, he picks up and drops off passengers for a fee to supplement a monthly salary he says lasts only 2 weeks.
It's not only feeding, it's a needs. There is children's, paying fees of your children, your shelter, anything concerning life. So it's inside salary.
In some factories, conditions are even tougher. Many people work for even less pay. From universities to banks and hospitals, most Nigerian workers hardly earn enough to feed their families. As a result, thousands have left the country in the last 5 years to find better prospects, including 16,000 doctors. One union leader says, even if monthly minimum wage was raised to ₦1,000,000 naira, about $630, people will still struggle to make ends meet.
Now, the only thing to do is that for the managers of the economy is to address inflation, address the value of the currency, and then it will make sense.
In 2024, protesters took to the streets in Nigeria to demand government action to ease the cost of living. Organizers blamed government's economic policies that included ending decades of petrol subsidies and the devaluation of the local currency. The Nigerian government announced a 120% wage increase in 2024. 1 year after, tens of thousands of workers are yet to benefit from the increase. Since the review, food inflation and hikes in cost of fuel and transportation have eroded whatever they gained from the new minimum wage. The government says it has introduced measures to ease the hardship, but labor leaders dismiss them as inadequate. They say the country is now at crossroads.
The implication is that productivity will go down. The implication is that poverty will be the order of the day.
Another wage review is due in 2 years when the government and labor leaders are due to meet. Until then, Nigerian workers will have to find ways to survive the cost of living crisis that has wiped out much of the country's middle class. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Abuja.
A 30-year-old man has been charged with the murder of 2 staff members from the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. U.S. authorities are treating the killings as both a hate crime and an act of terrorism. Al Jazeera's Patty Kalhan reports.
Yoram Lishinsky and Sarah Milgram were leaving the Capitol Jewish Museum on Wednesday when police say Elias Rodriguez gunned them down. He's alleged to have then walked into the museum.
So he pulls out his keffiyeh and he says, I did it. I did it for Gaza. Free, free Palestine. And he's chanting this. And then suddenly the police come in and they arrest him.
Free, free Palestine! Caught on video after his arrest, yelling, Free Palestine. The 30-year-old suspect has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, Federal officials are also investigating this as an act of terrorism and a potential hate crime, indicating they might seek the death penalty.
Violence against anyone based on their religion is an act of cowardice. It is not an act of a hero. It is the kind of case that we will vigorously pursue. Anti-Semitism will not be tolerated, especially in the nation's capital.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to U.S. President Donald Trump and the U.S. Attorney General, thanking them for their efforts to crack down on pro-Palestinian protesters. They've been fining colleges and detaining and deporting student activists. Israeli officials are linking this crime to criticism.
This is the direct result of toxic anti-Semitic incitement against Israel and Jews around the world that has been going on since the October 7th massacre.
But Democratic Jewish lawmakers came to the museum to push back against the connection.
I want to be really clear that what is happening right now with using anti-Semitism as an excuse specifically to crack down on institutions of higher learning, that is not acceptable to the vast majority of American Jews. It is antithetical to our values.
As a result of what happened behind me, we're seeing the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu call for increased security at Israeli facilities worldwide, and also from members of Congress that are calling for the U.S. to spend billions of dollars to help provide security to places like the Capitol Jewish Museum and other Jewish facilities across the United States. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.
This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's SIP TV2 Headline News for this Friday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. We will be off for the holiday weekend, but you can tune in on Tuesday at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other, and do have a wonderful Independence weekend.